It was a Wednesday, a little after 4 in the afternoon when I came home from the hospital and found a stranger's business card face up on my own kitchen counter, a real estate agent. Someone I had never met, never called, never invited into the house my husband built with his hands. And underneath that card, in my daughter's neat, careful handwriting, 3 words, East Wall Measure. I was 68 years old, and I had been gone from my own home for exactly 6 days, long enough for a fall, a fright, a night of confusion, and a slow recovery. Long enough, it turned out, for the people I loved most to start measuring the walls. You can be abandoned in a house full of people. I didn't understand that yet. Standing there with my coat still on and my keys still in my hand, but I was about to... Let me tell you how I got there, and who showed up when the ones who were supposed to had already started dividing up the rooms. Welcome to Where Grace Remains, where quiet women tell the stories the world stopped listening to. Before we begin, tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. I read every single one. And if you've ever loved someone who stopped showing up for you the moment they decided you were done being useful, stay with me. You're going to want to hear how this one ends. So let me take you back to the beginning. My name is Adele Corbin. I live in a white farmhouse at the end of Sable Road, 3 miles outside a small town called Millbrook, where the winters come early and stay too long, and the lake freezes hard enough by January that you can hear it groan at night like something old turning over in its sleep. My husband Walter and I bought the place 41 years ago when it was half falling down. He was a carpenter and I taught piano, and between the two of us we had exactly enough money to be terrified and not $1 more. But Walt looked at that sagging porch and those cracked window frames the way some men look at a woman across a dance floor, and he said, "Addie, this one's got good bones." We spent the next 3 decades proving him right. Walt passed 5 years ago, went out to split wood on a cold March morning and simply sat down in the snow and didn't get back up. The doctors said his heart, I say his heart too, but I mean it differently. He gave that heart away for 40 years to me, to the children, to every neighbor who needed a roof patched or a door rehung, and I think it just ran out the way a good candle does, quietly, all the way down to the wick. We had 2 children. Colleen, my eldest, is 44 now. She runs a little interior decorating business 2 towns over. The kind with an Instagram page and throw pillows that cost more than I used to make in a week. Colleen was the girl who cried at every sad movie and rescued every stray cat and told me at 7 years old that when she grew up, she was going to buy me a mansion. I believed her. God help me. I believed her for 40 years. Then there's Grant, my son. 41, works in logistics for a shipping company, wears the kind of watch that beeps at him and tells him his heart rate. Grant was harder, even as a boy, not unkind, just closed, the way a fist is closed. He kept a ledger in his head of every favor done and owed. I used to think that was ambition. I used to think a lot of things were ambition that turned out to be something colder. And Grant is married to Bryn, my daughter-in-law. I want to be fair to Bryn, so I'll say this. She was never once cruel to my face, not one time in 12 years. Everything Bryn ever did to me, she did with a smile and a soft voice, and her hand resting gently on my arm. It took me a long time to understand that some of the sharpest knives are the ones that never raise their voice. For years, we were fine, distant but fine. The children called on Sundays, mostly, came for the holidays, mostly. I filled the quiet with piano students. I still taught 3 afternoons a week, little ones mangling scales in my front parlor and with my oldest friend, Opal, who lived down the county road and had buried a husband too, and who understood without my having to explain that some griefs don't heal, they just find a place to sit down inside you. I want to stop here and tell you something, because I think it matters more than any of the rest of it. In those years after Walt, I did one thing that nobody in my family knew about. And I'm not going to tell you what it was yet. I'm going to hold on to it the way I held on to it for a long, quiet stretch, because there is a moment coming when it changes everything, and I want you to feel it land the way it landed for them. Just remember, as this story goes on and the walls close in, there was something none of them knew. Now, the fall. It happened on a Thursday in late October. I was carrying a basket of apples up from the cellar. I still put up applesauce every fall, 12 jars, same as always, and I missed the bottom step. Just missed it. One moment I was upright, and the next I was on the stone floor with my hips screaming and my head ringing, and a whole basket of apples rolling away from me into the dark like they had someplace better to be. I couldn't get up. I lay on that cold floor for close to 2 hours before I managed to drag myself to where I'd left my phone, and by then I was cold clear through and half out of my head with it. I called Opal. Opal called the ambulance, and that was the beginning of the 6 days that changed how I understood my own children. Here is the part the doctors explained to me later, calmly, and the part my family chose to hear very differently. When an older person takes a hard fall, spends hours cold on a stone floor, and then lands in an unfamiliar hospital room, they can get confused, disoriented. It has a name, the nurses called it delirium, and it is common, and it is usually temporary, and it is very often made worse by the pain medication they put you on. For about 2 days in that hospital, I wasn't myself. I know that now. I couldn't always find the right word. I asked for Walt more than once, and Walt had been gone 5 years. One night, I apparently tried to get up to teach a piano lesson that existed only in 1994. I don't remember most of it. What I remember is waking up on the third morning clear as glass, with a sore hip and a bruised head, and a nurse named Renata Vega sitting beside my bed doing a crossword, and I remember she looked up and smiled and said, "There she is. We were wondering when you'd come back." Renata was a home health aide the hospital had brought in for the overnight shifts. 26 years old, dark hair pulled back in a knot, a laugh like something spilling over. She had a little boy at home and a mother in another state, and not one drop of my blood in her veins. Hold on to her. She matters. Because while I was gone, those 2 lost days when I wasn't quite myself, my children came. And they saw a version of their mother slurring her words and calling for a dead man and reaching for a piano that wasn't there. And somewhere in those 2 days, without ever once waiting to see me come back to myself, they made a decision. Colleen was the one who told me, on the 4th day, sitting in the vinyl chair by the window with her hands folded in her lap like she was about to deliver news to a client. "Mom," she said, "we've been talking. Grant and Bryn and me, and we don't think you can go back to Sable Road. Not alone, not anymore." I remember the light in that room. Gray and thin, a November coming kind of light. I remember thinking, but I'm right here. I'm looking straight at you. Ask me, just ask me how I feel. She didn't ask. None of them asked. That was the first thing I noticed, and it would not be the last. They had a great many opinions about my future and not a single question about how I actually was. I told Colleen I wanted to go home. I told her the confusion had passed, that the doctor had said it would, that all I needed was a little time and a railing on the cellar stairs. She smiled the soft, sad, immovable smile of a woman who has already decided, and she said, "We'll talk about it when you're stronger." And she reached over and patted my hand. Tell me, has someone you raised ever looked straight at you and talked about you like you weren't in the room? Like your own life was a problem to be managed rather than a person to be asked? If that's happened to you, I want you to leave one word below. Just one. I'm reading every single one of them, and I think you already know why. They discharged me on the 6th day. Grant drove me home. He was kind in the car, asked about my hip, turned the heat up when I shivered, told me a long story about his younger boy's hockey team that I couldn't quite follow but was grateful for anyway. For those 40 minutes, I let myself believe I had imagined the coldness in that hospital room, that it had been fear, the way fear makes people clumsy. I wanted so badly to be wrong about my own children. And then we pulled into the drive and I walked into my kitchen and I found the real estate agent's card on the counter with my daughter's handwriting underneath it. East wall measure. That was when I stopped being able to pretend. I didn't say anything to Grant. He carried my bag upstairs, kissed my cheek, told me to rest, and drove off into the early dark. And I stood in my own kitchen, in the house Walt built. And I started, very quietly, to pay attention. You learn things when you pay attention. I learned that the deed and my important papers, which I kept in the bottom drawer of Walt's old roll-top desk, had been moved. Not taken, moved. Someone had gone through them and put them back not quite the way I keep them, because I keep them in the order Walt taught me, oldest on the bottom, and now the mortgage papers were on top. I learned that there were 3 voicemails on my landline from a place called Cedar Grove Assisted Living, thanking the family for the tour and confirming that a room would be available in the spring wing come April. The spring wing. They had toured it. They had toured a room for me, walked its halls and asked about its meal plans and its activity schedule while I lay in a hospital bed calling for my dead husband, and not one of them had said a word to me about it. I want to tell you I was angry. The truth is stranger than that. What I felt, standing there with that voicemail playing into the empty kitchen, was a kind of terrible clarity, like a window I hadn't known was dirty suddenly wiped clean. I could see everything. And I did not like what I saw. Over the next 2 weeks, the picture filled itself in the way a photograph develops in a tray, slow and then all at once. Colleen started coming by every few days, always with something soup, a soft blanket, a book of crossword puzzles like the ones Renata used to do. But she never sat down. She wandered. She talked to me about my hip while her eyes moved across the room, cataloging. "That hutch is gorgeous, Mom. Is that the original hardware? Have you ever thought about what these floors would go for? Refinished? Care performed so beautifully you could almost miss the appraisal happening underneath it." Grant called twice a week, and both times, somewhere in the conversation, he'd mentioned getting things organized. Did I have a current will? Had Dad set up anything I should know about? Wouldn't it be smart, while I was still feeling sharp, to simplify, put the house in the kids' names now? Avoid all the mess later? He said, while you're still feeling sharp the way you'd say it to someone you'd already decided wasn't. And Bryn. Bryn sent me a card. A beautiful card. Thick paper, pressed flowers, and inside it in her lovely handwriting, "Adele, we only want what's best for you. Let us carry this. You've carried everyone your whole life. Let us take care of everything now. Let us take care of everything." I read that line a dozen times. It sounds like love. It took me a long while to hear what it actually was, which was a hand reaching gently for the keys to my whole life. I didn't confront any of them. I want you to understand that, because I know how it sounds like I was just lying down and taking it. I wasn't. I was doing what Walt taught me to do before you ever nail 2 boards together. I was measuring twice. The only person I told was Opal, over coffee at her kitchen table on a gray Sunday. I laid it all out, the card, the tour, the moved papers, the assisted living voicemails. Opal listened the way she always did, without once interrupting, and when I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Addie, are you angry?" And I told her the truth. "No," I said. "That's what frightens me. I thought I'd feel rage. Instead, I just feel like I finally understand something I've been refusing to look at for years." Opal refilled my cup. "Rage burns out," she said. "This other thing, this clear, cold thing that one just sits down and rearranges the furniture." She was right. She was always right. Now, here is where the second half of this story turns, and here is where I have to tell you about Renata. She came back. That's the whole miracle of it, and I still don't entirely understand it. Her assignment with me ended the day I left the hospital. She owed me nothing. She was 26 years old with a child and a hard job and every reason in the world to move on to the next patient and forget the confused old woman from the spring floods of October. But about 10 days after I got home, on a night when the first real ice storm of the year came down and if I'm in pain. What I watched you do was arithmetic. And I have spent my whole life listening for the difference between love and arithmetic. Colleen was crying now, but I noticed even then that the tears had come when I mentioned the trust, not when I described the floor, not when I described the 6 days I spent believing my children saw me as a wall to be measured. Mom, she said, can we please just talk about this like a family, without lawyers and trusts?